a third of the way through the season, and quite honestly, this week's slate of picks is looking pretty challenging. I'm always up for a challenge, and this is Mac back with another video on this Wednesday. Do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, follow on Instagram, link in the box below. These are my Week 7 picks as I hope for lucky number 7 for the 2023 NFL season, but I pretty much had a lucky number 6 as this week I went 11-4. A really solid week for me. There was only one game that I really wish that I had back, and that was my upset between the Vikings and the Bears. Other than that, I mean, there were two upsets, obviously, with the 49ers and Browns and the Eagles and Jets, and then the Saints-Texans I thought could have gone either way, but overall, I'm not complaining too much. I went 11-4, a really strong week that puts me at 60-33 on the season. So let's keep it up, man, as, like I said, this week is not going to be so easy. There are a lot of games that I had to think about, so I took a lot of notes for this week. So let's not waste any more time. These are my Week 7 picks of the 2023 NFL season. Let's get on to it. Kicking things off on Thursday night, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars and the New Orleans Saints going at it in New Orleans as the Jags are coming off a win against the Colts, but it came with a little bit of a price as Trevor Lawrence dealing with a knee injury, and he's had limited practice this week as well, given it is a short week for Jacksonville. But still, Trevor Lawrence with that knee injury, I don't know the status of him. But Travis Etienne did have a really solid game against Indy when his number was called up, and those are just some deciding factors for me right there. I mean, the Saints, I don't think their defense gets talked about enough. They are 5th in total defense this season, as the Saints are, I believe, coming off a win, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember if they lost to Houston. But the point is, the Saints, they got a strong defense, but I really don't know if I can trust Derek Carr in primetime. He's kind of like Kirk Cousins. I never really could trust Derek Carr in primetime the same way that I can't trust a Kirk Cousins team in primetime as well. But Alvin Kamara is definitely going to make an impact for the Saints in this one. So, I mean, right off the bat, you got a tricky one right here. So, I'm actually going to, for right now, put an asterisk next to this one because Trevor Lawrence has come out and said, according to him, that his leg is, or that his knee is progressing. So, assuming Trevor Lawrence does play, I'm going to take Jacksonville. But if Trevor Lawrence doesn't play, I very may well switch the Saints. So this pick is not final for me until kickoff Thursday night. For right now, I'm going to take the Jags if Trevor Lawrence plays. But if he is out, I'm going to go with the Saints. So that's it for me right there with Thursday night. Now we got the Sunday slate of games, and congratulations, Chicago. Once again, you are featured in my toilet bowl of the week, as we got the Raiders and the Bears, and not to say the same for Vegas, as for the second week in a row, the Raiders are featured in a toilet bowl. So, Vegas coming off a win against the Patriots, as Brian Hoyer, of all QBs, got the job done over the Patriots against his former club. And why do I say Brian Hoyer? Well, it's because Jimmy Garoppolo's dealing with a back injury, and he may or may not play on Sunday. So they are probably going to go with either Hoyer again or Aiden McConnell. But then you got to take a look at the Chicago Bears, and this is the reason why this is my toilet bowl of the week, is because Justin Fields got hurt against the Vikings, and he's expected to miss some time. I don't even know who Chicago's backup is, and I really don't care, honestly. But you got a matchup, as far as I'm concerned, between two backup quarterbacks going at it. However, I will say with Vegas, Michael Mayer's been getting involved with them a lot more, and Josh Jacobs, I think he has to be the bulk as far as the offense goes, get back to last year's form. And Vegas may honestly, have a little bit of a push for this season. Their defense has actually stepped up a little bit better, but I don't know if I can fully trust it 100%. Chicago's defense just continues to be really bad. The Bears make a ton of mistakes on the field. So I really don't know if I'm 100% confident for my pick right here. But I think regardless of who Vegas starts on Sunday, I think I'm going to roll with them to get the job done. I just can't trust the Bears. They're not a good team. They're the second worst team in the league, in my opinion, behind only ahead of Carolina. But the way Vegas has some momentum going for them, I'm leaning towards picking them in this game because, they go with the journeyman in Brian Hoyer or Aiden McConnell. The way I see it, they have somewhat of an experienced quarterback in this game, while the Bears, they're going with a guy who just does not have experience. So I'm going to go Vegas in this one. Next, we got the Cleveland Browns and the Indianapolis Colts. And right off the bat, I got to give Cleveland some props. That defense they got is legit. They're number one in total defense. And the Browns handed the 49ers their first loss of the season. I thought they played San Francisco's defense incredibly well, or their offense incredibly well. Denzel Ward was all over Brandon Ayuk. The pressure was there, and they even intercepted Brock Purdy, which is something that you don't see very often from Brock Purdy in the early get-going of his career. The Browns, they ran the ball efficiently, and P.J. Walker came out with a win of all QBs because Deshaun Watson missed the game again. So the Browns, they played very well Sunday, and now they're going to Indy to play the Colts, who they can just never catch a break with quarterbacks, Anthony Richardson is out for the rest of the season with a shoulder injury, and he's going to need surgery on it, so that really sucks for the Colts right there. I was really anxious to see what the Colts could have done offensively with Anthony Richardson, but we're going to have to wait till next year for that now. So the Colts, they just can't catch a break with all these injuries that they have. Although I will say Jonathan Taylor is starting to play a little bit better for the Colts. So I think that he definitely has to be the bulk for the Colts in this one. But if I'm being honest with you, Cleveland's defense is just way too strong, and I'm going to take Cleveland in this one, regardless of who starts at quarterback for them. Because let's face it, Nick Chubb is out for the rest of the season. Hopefully not the rest of his career. But they are finding talent in Jerome Ford, and they got Kareem Hunt back. And the defense is just keeping them alive in most of the matchups right here. Whereas the Colts, like I said, Jonathan Taylor is playing better, but I just think it's too much having to go up against Cleveland's front right there, and that's going to cause problems. I'm going to go with the Browns to make it 2 in a row, so give me Cleveland here. Then we got the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots going at it in Foxborough, as the Bills are coming off a win against the Giants, but two things. Number one, they played incredibly poorly in that game. They got shut out by the Giants for the first 3 quarters. And number two, the Bills are dealing with some injuries as far as, their defense goes. They lead the league in sacks, but they're a little bit roughed up on defense coming into this one. Mainly, it was one of their defensive players. I don't remember who it was, but he had to leave the game in an ambulance. Don't know the status of him, but yeah, the Bills, they're a little banged up defensively. And then the Patriots, I mean, I just don't get them at all. It seems like Belichick just has too much confidence in Mac Jones when Mac Jones is pretty much just the 12th man on every team's defense. And honestly, that could be a legit question for New England going into this game. Who's going to start at quarterback for them? Do they go with Bailey Zappi? Or do they continue to be stubborn, dig their heels in, and go with Mac Jones? You know? I really don't know. It just seems like Belichick just has too much faith in him. The Patriots are 27th in total offense, but Stevenson is starting to rise up a little bit for them, which is why you look at the line right here. Buffalo is favored by 8.5, but I really don't think it'll be that much easy for the Bills. I could probably see New England covering this game, considering that the Bills are banged up defensively. Do I think it's enough for New England to win? No. But I do think that they could probably cover this game. So yeah, I will go with Buffalo to play it safe. I just think that they're head and shoulders the better team coming in this game. Josh Allen did not look good Sunday night. And now having to go up against New England's defense, which is very spotty in my opinion. I think New England's defense just gets too much love. I really don't think that New England's defense is top 10. They give up a lot of big plays. But, yeah, I mean, it's just that Josh Allen has had New England's number pretty much ever since he entered the league. And the Patriots, I mean, they just have too many question marks around them, and they are just a terrible team going, this season. So I'm going to go with Buffalo to get the job done over the Patriots. Then this one was a very tricky one for me to decide right here. We got Washington and the Giants, the Commanders, the Redskins, the Red Commanders, whatever you want to call them. Call them the fuck farts if you want. I really don't care. But you got Washington and the Giants going at it in MetLife as Washington's coming off another win. They handed Desmond Ridder his first home loss of his NFL career and his playing career, to be honest with you, as Washington defeated Atlanta last Sunday 24-16. As Washington's a little bit of an underrated team in my opinion. They can put up some good offensive numbers, but the thing that dooms Washington and why they aren't better record-wise to me is their defense. Their defense has been a big letdown this year. They're 29th in total defense this year, which, a lot of people were high on Washington's defense going into the season, myself included, but man, Washington's defense has just been very underwhelming this year. Then you got the Giants. I mentioned it with the Bills just a couple minutes ago. The Giants played Buffalo really well Sunday night. However, two big mistakes cost the Giants the game. Passing on 3rd and short. You don't get cute in situations like that. You just run the ball, pick up the first down. You don't try to outsmart your opponent by outsmarting yourself. It's basic fundamentals. And then the big one. Giants have the ball at the goal line. Final moments of the first half, and they run the ball. I have no idea why they ran the ball in that situation right there when they could have just kicked a field goal, went up 9-0 in the half, and they get the ball to start the second half. It's just a terrible judgment call with the Giants right there, and those two plays, if the Giants undo one of those two plays, they probably could have beaten Buffalo. But, losing teams, they find ways to lose. And good teams find ways to win. So it's like, also with this one, I don't know if Daniel Jones is set to return for this game. Or if Tyrod Taylor is going to start for him again. But Saquon Barkley is back for the Giants. And he has been playing pretty well. And it looks like that he's found his stride this season. And the Giants defense, after getting manhandle for a good chunk to start the season, they have played a little bit better defensively. And plus the Giants, it just always seems like they have Washington's number. So I mean, I really want to take Washington because I really do think that they can put up a good game offensively. But because these two are NFC East rivals and it's division opponent familiarity, I'm really honestly kind of torn. I really do think this one can go either way. So I'm actually going to go with the Giants on this one. I think that they're starting to play a little bit better. And I think that their defense, like I said, is getting stronger. And I just like the fact that they have had Washington's number. I think that's a confidence booster for the Giants. It's also a case of when in doubt, go home team, and that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm actually going to take the Giants. This was close to being my upset of the week, but trust me, I got a better matchup in mind for my upset. But I'm going to take the Giants to get the job done over Washington to snap their losing streak. Then we got the Atlanta Falcons and the Tampa Bay Bucs going at it in Raymond James Stadium. As the Falcons, like I just mentioned, losing at home to Washington 24-16. Desmond Ritter's first career home loss. And the Falcons, I got to say this about Atlanta. It seems like Drake London and Kyle Pitts are starting to be used correctly in Arthur Smith's offense. But the thing that's really holding back Atlanta, in my opinion, is Arthur Smith himself and Desmond Ridder having those 3 interceptions against the Commanders. So Washington's defense did stand up a little bit on Sunday, and they played like advertised, picking them off, but still doesn't take away the fact that Washington's been very disappointing defensively this year. So Atlanta, they're a stingy defense themselves. I think they're 4th in defense this year, so they can limit you definitely defensively. So the Falcons, aside from Bijan Robinson being due for his first rushing touchdown of the season and another quarterback option, Atlanta could honestly be a half-decent team in the very near future. I just think that they gotta, stop having so much reliance on Desmond Ridder, like I said, because I just don't think he's the guy. Then you got the Buccaneers. Tampa Bay losing at home to Detroit, but the Bucs have been very surprising this year. I said the same thing about them that I said with the Rams. They're going to be picking top 5 next year. They should probably be in the market for Caleb Williams. But it seems like Baker Mayfield does have a revitalized career down there in Tampa Bay, and he's doing pretty well for him. So the Bucs still got that defense down there. I don't know the status of Mike Evans coming into this one, but regardless, I think I'm going to go Tampa Bay on this one. Because like how Desmond Ridder plays really well at home, it's the complete opposite on the road. Desmond Ritter's never been a good road quarterback, and I think his struggles will continue down in Tampa Bay playing, in my opinion, an underrated Bucs team. So I'm going to go Tampa Bay to win this one, and the NFC South is just really starting to look like what it was last year, but for a couple of other reasons. But I'm going to go Tampa Bay here. Next, we got the Lions and the Ravens. This one is in Baltimore, as the Lions, like I just mentioned, coming off a win against Tampa Bay. The Lions are playing incredibly well. Dan Campbell is doing a phenomenal job with this Lions team, and if you ask me who Coach of the Year is so far, it's definitely Dan Campbell to me. He has to be close, if not the front runner for being Coach of the Year. Lions are a little undermanned coming in this game, however, as David Montgomery is ruled out for this game and Jahmyr Gibbs is questionable. However, Williams is coming back after serving the gambling suspension, so the Lions, they may be a little bit undermanned, but man, that defense they got there is really feisty and, in my opinion, very underrated. They still got Jared Goff, who's playing really well with the Lions ever since that trade with the Rams, and Amon-Ra St. Brown is just a sensational player. Detroit, if I'm a Lions fan, I'd be very high and very hopeful moving forward with Detroit. And, they just continue to prove me week by week that they are my surprise team of the year and that they can win the NFC North. They keep on proving it. Ravens won in London against the Titans, but 6 field goals. That offense is very Jekyll and Hyde. It started to click at the beginning of the season, but then ever since that Colts game, the Ravens have fluctuated from looking dominant offensively to looking like they don't even know what they're doing on the field offensively. And I think that's what's going to doom Baltimore in this game, going up against a stingy defensive team in Detroit. Last time these two met, Justin Tucker set the NFL record for the longest field goal kicked, but you can thank the Zebras for that one because that was clearly delay a game. They missed it, but Baltimore, you're not going to get lucky in this one because Detroit is just head and shoulders better than you, in my opinion. I don't know why the Ravens are favored in this one, and I can't call it an upset because I just think Detroit's the better team. I mean, the Ravens may be favored because of Montgomery and Gibbs, for this game, but overall, I look at both these teams, I just think Detroit's better. So I'm going to go with the Lions to keep it rolling, man. What is it going to be, 4 straight wins for them? So yeah, I'm going to go with Detroit, go into Baltimore, and get the job done over the Ravens. Late Sunday afternoon slate of games. And right off the bat, we got my matchup right here. The Steelers and the Rams in SoFi. We're coming off our bye week. The Rams are coming off dominating the Arizona Cardinals. What to say about this one? I mean, just prepare yourselves, guys. This ain't going to be a pretty matchup. This is the second of, I think, 4 teams this season that the Steelers play who they have previously played in a Super Bowl. But let me tell you, this matchup right here is going to be anything but a Super Bowl, But, sure, we got guys coming back, or guys who are expected to come back, as I'll get more into it in my pregame, which I'll have out on Friday. But I really don't think it'll matter. I mean, Mike Tomlin, I cannot rant enough about this guy because Dan Moore Jr. was back with the first team in practices this week when you have a guy who you frickin' traded up for in the draft in Broderick Jones, who only gave up 1 pressure all game against the Baltimore Ravens in your last matchup, and why we continue to shy away from putting in JPJ on the field when they aren't throwing to him and shrinking the field every single time he goes out there. I mean, what is he so afraid of? What, that Broderick Jones is going to give up a sack and he's going to get pushed around? It happens. He's a rookie. You have to let him learn. Stop giving him the training wheel, treatment. What are you afraid of JPJ? That he's going to give up a big play? That he's going to give up a touchdown? Of course he's going to do that. Corners aren't perfect. He's going to give up a big play eventually. He's going to give up a touchdown eventually. Let the kids learn, for God's sake. I just don't get how a team and a head coach can be so stubborn. And it's not even, so it's not even just that. What are you going to do against LA's weapons? Because Cooper Kupp lived up to advertisement last Sunday. Matthew Stafford, sure, he doesn't do great against good pass rushing defenses like what we have with TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. But you know what? The Rams, they are finding ways to be productive on offense. And, I said it all off season with the Rams. I thought they'd be, one of the worst teams in the league because of their cap situation. I thought they'd be picking top 5 in the draft next year. But they find talent in a guy, and they still are finding talent in a guy in Puka Nacua. Like, did any of you guys even know who Puka Nacua was? I certainly didn't. But they're finding ways to be productive. And that's why Sean McVay is one of the top coaches in the league. You know? Sure, the Rams are down their running back in this game, so they're going to have to go with their second and third string running backs in this game. But if you watched any of the Steeler games this year, especially week 2 against the Browns, Jerome Ford, Cleveland's third string running back, had a big game against us. And I know that Cam Hayward's probably not going to play in this game. I get it. But like I keep stressing, you can't keep riding the coattails with that, because even if Cam Hayward was playing in this game, guess what? The guy's getting old. This rush defense is awful. And yet you continue to not fix anything up with it. That is strictly on coaching. Period, point blank. So honestly, I really don't care who the Rams have or don't have going in this game, because I'm picking them to beat us regardless. I know we're coming off our bye. I know that we're well rested. But do you expect Mike Tomlin to make any inkling of a change defensively? Do you expect Matt Canada to make any inkling of a change offensively? The answer, like Tomlin said last year, a hard no. Isn't this the same guy, correct me if I'm wrong, who last year against the Jets took out Mitch Trubisky because the offense was faltering, put in Kenny Pickett, and Kenny Pickett led us to back-to-back touchdown drives? So why is Mike Tomlin being stubborn again? It just makes no logical sense whatsoever. I hate to do this, guys. I really do, because I really want to believe we can beat the Rams. Because like I said, they have their backup running backs in this game. Matthew Stafford, like I said, does not do well generally against strong pass rushes. And TJ Watt is in a tie with the most sacks in the league so far. But it's just the Rams, they're playing well defensively, and we are 30th in total offense this year. And I just think that's your difference maker right there. Rams win this one, and like I said, more of it in my preview. Then we got the Arizona Cardinals and the Seattle Seahawks. This one is up in Lumen Field. As the Cardinals, again, they're 1-5, I think, 1-4, whatever their record is. But the Cardinals, they've been competitive in a lot of their games this year. They had a bad week against the Rams, but Arizona, they have fought really well this year. And I think that sooner or later they're going to learn how to close out a game. But I'll give Arizona credit. They are battling hard. They're not just lying down and dying. Then you got the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks coming off a rough game against the Bengals last Sunday, where Cincinnati's defense was really sharp. They got 3 sacks, I believe, against the Seahawks. And the Seahawks, they were just stopped dead in their tracks against Cincinnati's defense. But, now they're flying back home to Seattle. They're playing the Cardinals, who I think Arizona could give them a really hard-fought game, because, like I said, it's division rival familiarity, like I mentioned with Washington and the Giants a couple minutes ago. But I'm going to go Seattle. The Seahawks, they're just too good to pick against for this matchup right here. I expect a big game out of Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet in this one. And Arizona, like I said, they'll probably keep it competitive for I don't know, a couple of quarters. But I think the Seahawks come away with this one and get the job done. Next, the Green Bay Packers and the Denver Broncos. This one is in Mile High as the Packers are coming off their bye. Previously, they lost a Monday nighter to the Las Vegas Raiders where Jordan Love was intercepted 3 times. So the Packers are 2-3. Then you got the Denver Broncos who are coming off, the Broncos, I'm not going to try and sit here and remember, or you know what, they played last Thursday against Kansas City. They lost again to the Chiefs, but Denver's defense played very well, in my opinion, in that game against Kansas City. I mean, Russell Wilson didn't really help out much as expected for the Broncos at this point, and Sean Payton had a couple of dumbass moments in that game, but Denver's defense really came to play. They picked off Mahomes even too. And also you got to take into consideration both these teams are very well rested. Green Bay coming off their bye, and when they had also played a Monday night game before, so they're well rested. And Denver's well rested too, having last played last Thursday. So yeah, both these teams are pretty well rested coming into this one. So a couple of things. The biggest question surrounding Green Bay has been the elephant in the room all season, pretty much. What is the status of Aaron Jones? I think there's only been one game this whole season where Aaron Jones has been available, and it was the Week 4 Thursday nighter against Detroit. Other than that, I can't remember a time where Aaron Jones was active, because it looks like that injury is really starting to affect him. Denver's defense, I talked about, they're 32nd in the league. They're dead last defensively, but like I said, they held their own against Kansas City. So, I mean, it's really hard to decide between what's going to give in right here. But here's my takeaway. Green Bay, 28th in offense this year. Jordan Love, I just don't know if I can trust him. And Aaron Jones being inactive is huge for Green Bay going into this one. Also, Jordan Love is going to be tested with the high altitude that the Broncos play in. I mean, sure, Denver is 32nd defensively, but I think a lot of that has to do with their matchup against the Dolphins, who have the number 1 offense in the league. So this one definitely was a head-scratcher for me. But boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, the Denver Broncos are my upset of the week. That's right. The Broncos are my upset right here. Because like I said, their defense is starting to play better. They limited Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City of all teams. And even though Green Bay is coming off their bye, like I said, I usually give the advantage to the team that played on Thursday, and that's what happened with Denver. They're coming on, they get all those extra days of rest, while Green Bay, they still had to do some traveling. They had to fly from Vegas back to Wisconsin and now to Denver. So even though they had their bye, they still had to do some traveling, while the Broncos, I think that they just have the upper hand and the upper advantage in this one. So yeah, Denver, they're my upset of the week. And going from my upset of the week to my rivalry of the week, as we got the Los Angeles Chargers and the Kansas City Chiefs going at it in Arrowhead. As the Chargers, they dropped it the other night to the Cowboys at home by a final of 20-17, where the Chargers probably could have won that game. But Dallas's defense stepped up under the 2-minute warning, a sack by Micah Parsons, and then a game-sealing interception by the Cowboys sealed the win against the Chargers. And then you got the Kansas City Chiefs, where they pulled away with the win against Denver, but like I said, they were held in check defensively most of the night against the Broncos, and, you know, it seems like Denver's starting to play Kansas City a little bit tougher. And the reason that this is my rivalry of the week is because whenever these two teams have played since Justin Herbert came in the league, it's always been a good showdown. And I expect nothing less of that to be the case again. Justin Herbert, he usually has some pretty good games against Kansas City, but the Chiefs, despite having some inconsistencies defensively, they're still sixth defensively this year. So the Chiefs have definitely played better defensively this year, while the Chargers, 31st on defense this year against Kansas City's 4th-ranked defense. And I think that's where I draw the line and toe it right there. Plus, you got to factor in Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is a Charger killer both games last year and the second matchup of 2021, if I'm not mistaken. Travis Kelce has gone off against these guys, and I expect him to do it again. So I think the Chargers will give the Chiefs a really good matchup right here like they always do, but I am going to go with Kansas City to get the job done over the Chargers to increase their winning streak to 6 games. LA drops to a disappointing 2-4 in my opinion, as I just really don't think the Chargers are just a clutch team. I mean, they're good, they're competitive, they can score points for sure, but it's just that Brandon Staley and that defense that they got is just going to let them down every time to me. So I'm going to take Kansas City to keep it rolling here. Sunday Night Football, and we got quite a doozy of a game right here. I can't wait to watch this one. Miami Dolphins and the Philadelphia Eagles going at it in Lincoln Financial Stadium in Philly. It's a battle of the two best offenses in the league. Miami's the number 1 offense. Philly's the number 2 offense. Jalen Hurts, I'll get to that in a little bit. Tua Tagovailoa is the league leader in passing yards so far. Tyreek Hill leads the league in receiving yards. And, of course, you got Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown forming that dynamic duo in Philly as well. And the Eagles can definitely gash you on the ground as well. So, I mean, this is going to be eye candy for a lot of NFL fans, myself included. I can't wait to watch it. However, I keep saying it with the Eagles. You know, they lost their first game of the season last week to the Jets. First time the Jets have ever beaten the Eagles, by the way. As, you know, something I forgot to mention at the beginning, speaking of the Jets, we got 6 teams on the bye this week, as the Jets are one of the teams on the bye. So I forgot to mention that. But, you know, with the Eagles, they're 5-1. They're playing they're playing good football, but I don't know if I can say that they're playing great football. Maybe they just needed to lose a game in order for them to really get their head on straight, because last year they were just dominating teams left and right. But Jalen Hurts has kind of looked off this season. He's already thrown 7 interceptions this year. So, I mean, it's just very uncharacteristic like for Philly to kind of be underperforming this year, in my opinion, despite having the record that they have. But their opponent, Miami, they can beat you in so many ways. Like, obviously, Tua is the main culprit. He leads the league in passing yards, like I said. Tyreek Hill, he'll torch you and he'll, you know, burn you with his speed. But the Dolphins can also beat you on the ground as well. And I think that's where Philly has to be really careful for this one right here. I do trust Nick Sirianni. I do think that he's a very good head coach. But the thing about the Dolphins is that I may have overestimated them against the Bills when they played them, because I really don't know if Tua is ready to go up against another strong offensive team like this, because it just kind of seems like whenever Tua goes up against a team that can match him offensively, he doesn't really show up a whole lot, you know? So I really have yet to see that from Tua. So as much as I want to pick the Dolphins here, I think I'm going to lean more towards Philly. And it's because the Eagles, I trust them more going into this game. They're coming off a bad game against the Jets, and I think that they're going to come in angry and in prime time where the Eagles at home have been very tough to beat over the course of the past several years. And plus, this is just their second loss with Jalen Hurts starting the entirety of the game. I think Philly snaps out of it and they get back on track here. So I'm actually going to make this my point spread of the week, as Philly's favored by 2.5 currently. I'm going to take the Eagles to win this game, but I'm actually going to take Miami with the points. So, yeah, this is my spread of the week. 37-35. Philly gets the job done over the Dolphins. So, yeah, Philly with the win, but I think Miami covers. And then wrapping up week 7, we got Monday Night Football between the 49ers and the Vikings. And without even hesitating, I am making this my lock of the week. Yeah, the 49ers are a little banged up offensively. CMC is questionable. Deebo Samuel's questionable. And one of their offensive linemen is questionable as well. So, I mean, yeah, the 49ers are a little banged up offensively. But here's the thing. Number one, it's Kirk Cousins in primetime. I never trust a Kirk Cousins team in primetime to do well. Number two, the Vikings defense is very mid. And going up against the number 3 offense in the 49ers like that, I just think it's a recipe for disaster for Minnesota right here. Number 3, Justin Jefferson has officially been placed on IR. So the Vikings are without their best player on offense, and they're going to have to go up against a 49er team who can definitely be productive offensively. And finally, number 4. It's just that the 49er defense against Minnesota's undermanned offense, I think, is just a huge mismatch going into this one. So I trust Kyle Shanahan to the fullest here. Minnesota can score a lot of points. Kirk Cousins is second in the league in passing yards behind Tua. But I think the 49ers, they just counter that with their defense in this one, taking advantage of Justin Jefferson's absence. So I'm going to go San Francisco on here, my lock of the week. And that'll do it. Those are my week 7 picks. People in the tournament, you know the drill. This is Mac checking on out for the day. Have a good one, everybody.